Hello, my name is Andy Cooper and welcome to At My Table Southwest, the podcast for folk who love dining out and want to learn the secrets of the best in the business. Every episode will be shining the spotlight on fabulous things happening in hospitality in the Southwest and talking to talented people from the industry. And we're proudly sponsored by Southwest 660, the iconic road trip stretching from Poole in Dorset to Watchet in Somerset. And at my table this episode is Steve Ashworth. I'll explain to you later why I call him the Clark Kent of the hospitality industry, but suffice to say he's a man with many fingers, almost literally, in many pies in the hospitality industry. And it's a delight to have him on this episode to talk about the many ways he gets involved. Hi Stephen, thanks so much for joining us. I'm very grateful to you for sparing some time for us. I was looking at your kind of CV when we were liaising about doing this, and I don't know if it's fair or not, but I sort of almost wanted to call you the Clark Kent of hospitality. You're sort of mild-mannered tax expert by day and a hospitality and foodie expert by night, which is a bit trite, I know, but perhaps you could explain to us, what the day job is and also your passion and love for food, things and hospitality.
Hi Andy, it's great to be here. I mean, any opportunity I think I've got to talk about food is just makes a highlight of the day. So this is just a perfect opportunity from that point of view. But I love your intro there because it's just I've not had that one before. I've been told a lot of things, some less polite, but I think that's quite a good descriptor really. I often refer to myself as moving into this very strange world of, tax specialist by day, and then by night I change into this other character and everything who's very embedded in the world of food. And I feel very privileged, very honoured, and very lucky to be able to have that two sides of me, to be quite honest. I mean, I love it. It's all I've ever really done is be a tax specialist. So I do enjoy that side of it. But when it comes down to, what am I truly passionate about? It is food. It's been in my blood, I think, since I was growing up, to be quite honest. A lot of people say, how did you get into food? And I sort of go back to the 2000s and, sort of getting onto social media and the world that opened up. But it actually goes back a lot further than that to when I was born. I sometimes use the lie, but I was born in a fish and chip shop. I wasn't literally born in the fish and chip shop, but my parents had the fish and chip shop in East Lancashire when I was actually born. So, and that growing up is all I ever knew. Dad had the fish and chip shop run with my mum. Shortly after that, they bought what nowadays would be called a deli, to be quite honest. It was a sort of... I can't really call it anything else but a delicatessen. It sold everything sort of green grocery type, but we sold a lot of cheese, we sold a lot of meats, we sold a lot of Lancashire delicacies. So I was brought up on tripe and black pudding and cow heel and all sorts of things like that. I can't say I tried them all, but they were all there as a part of my life and everything. So... and my parents had always had that. Prior to the fish and chip shop, they had an off license and everything. So I think it was in my blood. And being a typical sort of teenager, going off to university and getting a career and a job and everything going, I drifted away from it. And I don't have many regrets in life, but probably, I wish I'd have carried on at that sort of stage. But then I found food again. And absolutely loved it. The opportunities to go out and eat was more social to start off with, wedding anniversaries, all that. And the first year my wife and I went out, we wondered how we went somewhere. I'm trying to say where we went. It was Cornwall anyway, but she'll kill me now because I can't remember, but especially off Valentine's Day. But anyway, she'll kill me for that. But it's our first first year away, and we always said, how do we better this? How do we find somewhere else to go? It's been such a fantastic experience, weekend and everything. How do we carry on? And we've always progressed through that. And then, as I touched on just as I started, the world of social media sort of opened up a few things for me. And we originally got into London, even though we're in the southwest. There was a few things going on in London, and we got some invites across to London in the days when supper clubs were really the thing, going to somebody's house and eating and meeting people. And we just had this opportunity. We just happened to go to one of the London supper clubs, and there was other people there who were foodies. There was other people there. I hate that word foodies, but I just used it anyway. But, people who were passionate about food, enjoyed food. And then these little doors just started opening into this world of food, sort of other people who were interested in food back then. Oddly, people who some who are now quite famous for, chefs and everything now. Sabrina Gale was one of the first people I happened to meet across in London before she was anywhere near as famous as she is now for her sort of Persian cookery and things she does on TV. So, and it just grew and grew and grew. And then somehow in 2013, I decided to enter Southwest Chef of the Year in their amateur sort of side of it, and I was lucky enough to win it at the time. It was a great experience, a weird experience to be cooking at Ashburton Cookery School as it was. 6 or 7 chefs, many with Michelin stars, led by Michael Keynes, and I still use the line that Michael used of that was banging pastry, Steve. So that's my line. Michael doesn't give out too many compliments and pluses and everything when it comes to food. He, quite rightly, he's a harsh critic at times, but and it was just great to do, and that then I think gave me some credibility and everything. I've got the background, but to at least be able to show, maybe I do know what I'm talking about on a cooking front. And it's just grown from there. That allowed me to go and become a food judge, allowed me to do lots of demos, and as you can tell, I can talk. It's allowed me to sort of be a host on demo stages, introduced me to a whole world of chefs, restaurant owners. As I say, I just feel very, very lucky. It's something I have to work at, but the opportunities are there, and they're still there now. And to be able to go out and meet people in the industry, to work with people in the industry, to have been given by Somerset Life. Again, I've forgotten what year it was now, 2015, something like that. The, Food Hero of the Year and everything. Just, it all meant a lot. And, for, getting those accolades and being sort of, it's always lovely, to be, to receive anything along those lines. But, from within the industry and within the sector, it's just lovely to have, and I still get to do it now. So it's still get to judge for various organisations. We're just getting into judging season, so I get to judge for Taste of the West. I'm a judge for the Guild of Fine Food. I still do the occasional chefing event, not as many as I used to, mainly for charity purposes. I mean, the one thing I always say, and it has no relevance. I do this, I get a lot out of it. I don't ever get paid. I don't ever sort of charge people for doing anything. I do it because I love it, and I do it because, I can give back, I feel, to, an industry, a sector that means a lot to me. Chefs, restaurants, I love them all. I love everyone who works in there, and I've been lucky, I suppose. I've never met, a bad person. The industry has been good to me in this weird Superman role of Clark Kent role that I've got. And it just, yeah, and it's just brilliant to be a part of it.
Sure, and perhaps a double-headed question, which is always a cheat on my part because it allows me to sit back and give you the tough questions. Right, but given your experience over so many years, and obviously you're sort of steeped in the hospitality industry, what do you think has been the principal changes in hospitality over the years? And as someone who has this tax role and finance role as far as advising companies in hospitality is concerned, what's your current temperature check of the industry and where it's at?
Well, I'll do the first one. I'll do the first bit first. So that makes sense. I've seen the change. I've seen the changes in menus, the changes in people sort of wanting to eat out. The dining experience, I believe, has changed. We keep going through this wave of maybe what's viewed as fine dining. Maybe sort of, the longer menus and everything to choose from. And that sort of people, I think, have moved more to, the smaller plates of food, the sharing of food, trying to enjoy the experience more. And I heard somebody, this isn't my quote, but I heard somebody, I've used similar quotes before, but, the food is what you go out for, but the staff and the front of house provide the experience. And I think it's that full-on experience that you get when you now go out that people are looking for. It's more than perhaps just the food. And the food is key. The food is, absolutely key there. And service would never make a bad meal better, but service and the experience can detract from good food. So and I think those are the changes. Those are the real changes I've seen. It is that move towards an experience. To get people to go out, you need to be giving them something a little bit extra. There is still room in the market for fine dining. I went to the ultimate fine dining experience a few weeks ago at Le Manoir. I doubled the price because I took my youngest son and his wife there, so that doubled the price. It's the type of place you're just going to go to and forget the price. Just if you're lucky enough to be able to do it, forget the price. Just go with it is what it is. Amazing food, amazing team in the kitchen, and just absolutely, brilliant service from the moment we arrived in the car park. And literally that, before we even walked in the building, we got out of the car and there were some staff around, and they were already on that welcome to Le Manoir experience. And it was all told fab. So very, very lucky to experience that, and not everybody can do. But equally, being out to some, local pubs recently, one on the A39, one up in Bridgewater just last week. I won't mention the names because I judged both of them recently, but they're both up there. And it was equally, price point, service, spot on. Absolutely spot on with it. So,
which I think, a lot of people say when someone says to me, where should I dine out? I live in Exeter, and they sort of say to me, where should I dine out in Exeter or nearby? And you say, well, actually, what are you looking for? Because we've got Lympstone Manor 5 miles away, but we've got Hub Box Burgers in the centre of the city, and both offer a different experience, but equally enjoyable, depending on what you're looking for.
I had exactly the same, because I spend a lot of time in Bristol. Although I live in Taunton, Somerset, I work in Bristol. Bristol's where I spend a lot of the time. And usually the first question anybody asks is, where would you go in Bristol? And I come back now with, well, what do you want? What's your price point? What sort of experience? One of my colleagues the other day sort of said she's looking to take out a family, a mother-in-law and a father-in-law, because they've just been in the process of moving house and they want to treat them to something. I said, well, what kind of meal do you want? And it's, I can then give a long list of places to go, most of which are my favourites, and maybe some which I've not been to, but I hear good things about. So it's it's different things for different people now, but there's always somewhere for everybody. And I think the important thing for the industry is for people to get out and start to do and start to look at what is in their area and then expand it from there. Go and enjoy the food, go and enjoy being out with your friends, your family, your wife, your partner, whatever it happens to be, and just have a good time.
And there'll be more from Steve later. And now our foodie news, where each episode we shine the spotlight on something new or interesting which is happening in the region. Focus is just outside Exeter this time around. Not a new spot, because Winslade Manor has been with us for many years, but they've got a new team there, new chef, new menus, and I was lucky enough to be invited along recently to try it. And I can thoroughly recommend a visit by all of you. We had an amazing menu. I think they've got the balance right between pricing and quality. Enjoyed things like beef tartare, confit, egg, yolk, mushroom, ketchup, puffed potato. That was a great starter. I really enjoyed that. And they had some turbot on the day. Well, turbot doesn't come much better than the way they did it that day. Pan-seared, crab beignet, braised gem, artichoke, saffron potatoes and a bisque. It was totally memorable, and I really enjoyed it. And then some nice desserts as well to sort of finish off. And the atmosphere is really good there. It's like an old Georgian house on the edge of Exeter, slightly unusual because it used to be the sort of headquarters of a massive insurance firm, and the team there have been doing great things in terms of turning it into an events venue and a foodie spot, and I thoroughly recommend a trip up there. It's really not far from the M5 and well worth a visit. So our foodie news of the week, well done the team at Winslade Manor on the edge of Exeter for carrying the baton forward with a new team and a new chef. And now our table for two and place to stay slot. We like to focus on somewhere you might like to go and dine out, but also maybe somewhere nearby that you might like to stay. And slightly we're off the beaten track, my recommendation for a place for two to dine out this time around, but it's Cold Harbour Farm Shop just outside Ottery St Mary, lovely little town in Devon, just not far from Exeter. And Cold Harbour Farm Shop is one of those glorious hospitality success stories arising out of COVID, which we don't often hear, I must admit. But there was originally just a small little farm shop there, and then during COVID, when restrictions allowed, locals were allowed to wander up the sort of road just outside Ottery, and as long as they were isolating, they were allowed to pick things up from the farm shop there that the team were running. But they were such a success in terms of what they did there, then they decided to sort of make it more into a kind of kitchen. And there's a huge building there now, beautiful wood burner crackling away in the corner. It was packed on the lunchtime I went, and it's good, honest grub, served with real sort of friendly staff, and they know what they're doing, and there's a great view out there. I mean, I went in sort of winter time, so you weren't able to sit outside, but honestly, there's a terrace there, and you're looking down over rolling Devon fields, and I'm sure it's quite the spot, especially if you're sort of on your bike or out on a country walk. And I know we sometimes put the focus on fine dining restaurants and the like, but it's occasionally a good idea to sort of get out there and try somewhere different. And I was a big fan of Cold Harbour Farm Shop and Kitchen, and well done to the team there. It was proper rustic grub in great circumstances. And if you're thinking of staying over, because it is a bit in the wilds out there, not far away is the legendary Pig at Combe. I know it's an easy touch to sort of recommend the Pig at Combe, but honestly, it is just one of the finest hotels it's ever been my pleasure to stay at. The team there are completely on point. They know what they're doing. I mean, again, if you wanted to just have a magnificent meal and dine out, there's so many options at the Pig at Combe. That chain of hotels really does know what it's doing. And it's such a magnificent sweep of a drive as you go up to it. You feel very special from the moment the place looms into view, and the rooms there are out of this world, and the team are very much on it. And they do so much in terms of local sourcing and provenancing and growing their own. And I really am a massive fan of the Pig at Combe. It's one of my go-tos. And if you're in the area, why not combine the two and have a bit of a sort of East Devon sojourn on us? And now back to Steve. And the current state of the industry in your view? Who have I got?
Oh, struggling. I mean, undeniably, it is struggling. Its back has been broken. It got broken through COVID. It came out of it. Not everybody did. A lot of people survived. They had to fight hard to keep what they had and what they'd built, and it was so sad. And he's going through it again. The government's not giving them a lot of help. The increases that we've got coming from April to increases to minimum wage, which there's a plus and a negative side too, but, minimum wage going up, the increases to employers' national insurance. What worries me is, for a number of years, my telephone conversations now are two things. One is, how can we save some national insurance? What can we do? How can we reward staff? We want to do the best for them, but we're struggling. To the other side, and this goes back to the last recession we went into, when every other phone call I picked up was, Steve, we're needing to make people redundant. How do we terminate their employment? What are the tax opportunities, for how can we do this as well as we can do it? And there are a number of calls increasing, especially in hospitality, along those lines. And that is sad. It's part of a job I have to do, but it's not a pleasant part. It's not conversations you want to be having. So hospitality is resilient. It does bounce back. It does. It's not an industry which you can enter into if you are not a fighter. And they fight hard, and they deserve every plaudit they get for what they do. They all make me very proud when I hear the stories and listen to them, and what we're going through at the moment. But they will get through this. It's just difficult. It really, really is difficult. And it's not just small businesses, it's medium, it's large businesses, it's some of the bigger names. But we still see people opening new restaurants, so
there's still hope.
Yeah, there is hope. There is always hope. And, people are always keen, whether it's a new coffee shop, a new, manufacturer, producer, new restaurant, new hotel. People are still going into it because, that's what food and hospitality does. It's just, it brings out the best in people. So the thing I would always say is just, if you've got some money and you can do it, go out and support your local restaurant. Go on your high street and support them and get out and about.
Sure, absolutely. I think we'd all echo that, especially a man who's recently launched a hospitality podcast, but there you go. So, yeah, exactly. I ask all my guests, sort of the funniest thing that's happened to them in hospitality, and yours is a sort of funny, not ha-ha, but a funny cringe almost. Tell us a little bit about that slightly wonky memory you've got of a hospitality experience that perhaps lingers for the wrong reasons.
Yes, it was an interesting experience. This is my, again, we're lucky to be able to go places, and wherever we go, we do always look and find places to eat out and talk. And this was our New York experience, I think, is what we're talking about. I'll name it. It's not, terrible from. There's good and bad bits in it, but Lulu's restaurant, which it does sort of say it's an interesting evening sort of thing in there. It does talk about it, but we were there and they cranked up the music as about 7 o'clock, I think we were dining, and it was this sort of like boom, 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 just getting louder and louder. And I'm getting old. I need to be able to see. I need to be able to hear what I'm doing, to get all these sensors to work. For this music just drowned out. And my wife's only sat at, table for two, it's opposite. We couldn't hear each other. The service staff couldn't hear what we were saying. The lights were down so low. When the food came, the staff were struggling to be able to put the food on the table. And I said to them, is this what it's like every night? And they said, yeah, we do struggle and everything else, which they mistook orders down because they couldn't hear. And it was just one of those odd experiences that my wife and I still laugh about. I've got somewhere on my iPhone the music, which just in the background of how loud and everything it was. And
That sounds like the kind of music they used to play in nightclubs in my youth when they wanted you to leave.
yeah, well, I think that's possibly it. But I think it's back to that, that experience as we're talking about. I think your senses are very important to you, and to be able to, to see, to hear, to listen, to engage, you can't do if you can't, the light's too dim, the sound is too loud. So,
I mean, as you've alluded to, you're very big on the whole holistic experience, aren't you? That's a passion for you, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It is. I think it's that whole, you engage through your, through being able to speak, to listen, to talk. It's very key. Whenever we go to a restaurant of whatever level it is, we engage with the staff from the moment we arrive. This is a shared experience. They may be bringing food to us and it's service, but I want them to feel as comfortable as we do with each other in many ways, and to then be able to see what comes and to taste it properly. And I do feel, when some of your other senses are affected, I'm going very deep here, it could affect your taste of the food and everything, because, it's sort of, it may improve it, it may detract away from it and that. So yeah, I'm very, very, very keen on that sort of whole experience and a holistic experience, shall we say.
Sure, yeah, I absolutely get that. And again, another little topical one, I kind of ask every guest, what's the one implement or service or element of their life they can't do without? What's yours?
My comforter, as I often refer to it, is a very large dessert spoon that I have had for as many years as I can remember. But whenever I go and do any demos, once or twice I have forgotten it over the years, and it's suddenly like, where's my spoon? Where's that? Do this without my spoon, and my wife will be like, it'll be fine, you don't need your spoon. And it's just one of those things that I use it a lot. It's just in the kitchen behind me now. I still use it, and I try and take it with me whenever I go on a demo. Like I said, I think rather than, well, it's a good implement. It's usable. I can serve with it. I can stir with it. I can do 101 things with it, and I just like having it with me.
Who can blame me? I think most of the chefs I've spoken to and the hospitality people. I mean, we had a whole podcast where a restaurateur talked about her trusty spatula. So I think it's a normal thing.
Well, I can relate to that. We burnt one of my favourite spatulas only the other day, and my wife said, "Oh, I'm going to throw it out." I said, "No, it's still. We can clean it. It'll be fine. It'll live for another day."
Sure, yeah, why not? And I suppose here's the $1,000 question. This man who has eaten around the world but is based down here, and this is a podcast about the Southwest region. What are your favourites and your recommendations to go and dine out in the Southwest region?
Well, I'll start in Taunton because I'm here. My go-to in Taunton is Augustus, Richard Guest and the team there. I was going to say ex of the castle, but they're well and truly ex from a long time ago now. But Augustus, it's just food that gives you a hug. Richard is not trying to be anything other than serve fantastic food with great wine, tucked away in a little side street in Taunton, and it's absolutely. I would recommend it to anyone. It's never ever let me down there. Going further afield, I'm a big fan of Paul Ainsworth's and Number 6. That is probably down in Padstow. Padstow is a special place for me and my wife. All the eating establishments down there are great, but Paul just takes it to, I think, to a whole new level and everything down there, and it's just brilliant. And one other I would just throw in is get out if you can. If you've got a college near you that has got a restaurant in it, we have Bridgewater and Taunton College. It's got the next generation coming through. And if you want the best value meal with amazing service and young people doing what the industry needs, go and support them as well, because you will not go wrong for value and that. So,
and you're making a bit of an investment without being too pious in the future of the industry, aren't you?
Yeah, they're giving them the experience they need. They need customers to serve. And it's at a price point where everyone can afford it. It's cheaper than getting, I know Bridgewater and Taunton, the value of it is less than getting a takeaway. Go and bulk and go in, and there's Exeter's the same, down in Cornwall's the same, and up in Bristol. All the colleges, hospitality colleges and everything, tend to have a dining experience attached to them, and they are fantastic.
And so many guys and girls we know are in kitchens now. We know they started at their local college, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Be it, like I say, Exeter has been churning out, great chefs for a lot of years and everything at, the academy and everything that's down there. And they're a brilliant team down there. I've been lucky to go down a few times and everything for various reasons. And they do an amazing job.
And you did mention Bristol. I'm going to sort of slightly turn it back on you, because you did mention to me a particular group in Bristol who are doing some good things food-wise.
The Anchies group are just absolutely brilliant up in Bristol. They have several restaurants, Pazzo's, the Anchies is another one of them, Ripiena and a couple of others and everything. And the whole, it's Italian food with an Indian twist on occasions. They're a mixed Italian-Indian family and everything, and they are just brilliant. Hospitality overload, and I can get emotional, I can get passionate, and that is the place where I have been known to sit there, probably on the second Negroni, but crying just from the experience, not out of sadness, but out of just delight for being there and being there with family and friends and doing it. And if we are just saying Bristol, I do just have to give a massive, massive shout out to Jan Osley and Wilson's. They got a Michelin star on Monday night, and nobody around here deserves it more than Jan. Wilson's is a fantastic restaurant in Bristol, and they've now got their Michelin star. I didn't see it coming. I think it's well and truly worthy of it, but I didn't. We've all talked about they should have a Michelin, but I didn't quite expect it on Monday for whatever reason. So I gave out a little cheer for Jan and the team and everything at Wilson's. So I'll never get there ever.
And that's interesting, actually. As a foodie judge, what's your take on Michelin stars? Because I've heard people say good things about them, bad things about them. Those who've got them sometimes hand them back. What's your view?
Oh, I think accolades and, awards like that, they bring the best and we bring the worst out in people. I think it's, who am I to, go around and be a judge and say this is gold, silver, bronze? Some people might challenge that at times, and very much the same for the Michelin. I think it gives an opportunity for people to see a recognised award, I suppose. And again, if a Michelin star attracts people to that area, and they go and eat one night in the Michelin establishment, and then they go and eat at some of the other local establishments on another night or another lunch, whatever it happens to be, then to me, it's doing a good job. But yes, people do wonder, sort of how are they based? How are they actually awarded? I was surprised. Was it 22 new 1-stars this week? But we're all worthy of it, and good on them for that.
I think from the outside looking in, one thing they do do very well at the minute is the publicity and the sort of event nature of it.
Yeah.
really gives the industry a shot in the arm, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I sat there, sad person I am at 6 o'clock.
Me too. Me too.
Watching it on the live stream and everything else, and I have done for as many years as I can remember. And for somebody on the outside, some of the people who get awarded and everything, I'm trying to think what his Bell Watson Hound, Alistair Barsby is across in London, but he's a Southwest lad, and he came through Gidley and came through Bath Priory, all that sort of thing, and he went his own way, and he's now got a Michelin across where he is, Kent way, I think it is, but which is brilliant. It's talk about the Southwest on the back of that, and what Alistair and Matt's now doing across there. So it's
sure,
yeah.
No, it was good to see, and like you, I tuned in. And I suppose we're going to go full circle here, because I sort of started the pod by talking about the mild-mannered accountant by day. Talk to us a little bit about the firm and what they do, PKF Francis Clark, because are you unique in having this sort of hospitality bent? Is that driven by you?
It's driven by me and one of the other partners, Nick Farrant. We've worked with food and hospitality industry for as long as I've been at PKF Francis Clark. We're based in, across the whole of the Southwest, effectively. So we go all the way from Truro all the way up to Bristol, in all the main cities and locations. 100 and odd years of history and that at Francis Clark, offering everything to every service going. But we do specialised in hospitality, in food and drink, from sort of, and we have a big farming side to it as well. So we are literally, farm to fork from that point of view. We're there supporting our farmers and all the support that they especially need at the moment, plus our hospitality sector and our restaurants, a lot of hotels we represent. So we provide in all the services that everyone will want. I mean, I specialise in employees and people from an employment tax point of view, but we do all the corporate, we do all the sort of audits. So we offer every service. I'd be wrong to say we're unique. I think we're probably one of the best, but there are other firms in the Southwest who do similar, but we have a fantastic list of clientele, a lot of good names and everything, and not just in the Southwest. We go further afield as well. So we represent a lot of hospitality across the whole of the country and everything. So
and how lovely to have your passion as your day job and your night job.
It is. I mean, that is most definitely. It is. Nothing is better when I can bring both aspects together.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, I've really enjoyed talking to you, Steve. I mean, so much insight and kind of ability to tell us things that perhaps don't obviously hit us immediately, but from your perspective, lots of opportunity to hear about someone who's, I would say, steeped in Southwest hospitality. So thanks so much for spending your time talking to us, and I've really enjoyed having you on the pod. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And now our whinge and whoop of the week. We like to perhaps have a bit of a grizzle now and again if we think it might be done positively, and also praise something out there in the hospitality industry. Start off with the whinge, because we always like to get the bad news out of the way first, don't we? And I'm going to have a little go at menus again. I did laminated menus the other day, but obviously when you're dining out, menus are a pretty pivotal part of the experience. And I suppose my real bugbear I've encountered a couple of times lately is errors on menus. Not so much, in terms of what the food is or how it's labelled or anything like that, but just literals, spelling mistakes and grammatical errors, apostrophes, which are the bane of my life missing. And I know I'm an old editor at heart from my print days, and I get very pedantic about the way things are done in terms of the written word, but I do think it slightly reflects on the establishment if the menu isn't quite where it should be. And so I do think, you want everything to come across as professional when you're dining out, and if a menu has literals on it, it's sometimes a bit of a thing to me that says, is this place a bit slapdash or doesn't quite care what they're doing in terms of presentation? So, always hire a good editor, I would say, wouldn't I? And our whoop of the week. The guys at St Austell Brewery, they're a great proponent of hospitality in the Southwest. I do feel that whenever they either run a pub or take over a pub, you get a much better offering in terms of what you can experience with them. And they've just launched the latest round of grant applications for their St Austell Brewery Charitable Trust, which aims to support local charities and individuals in need across the Southwest. And, not every company puts back in such a way. And I think little hat tip to them. They recently announced that in 2024, they raised more than $145,000 for good causes, and they're trying to do something similar this time around. And I think, it'd be in everybody's interests if they know of somebody who might benefit from such a grant to take a look at the St Austell Brewery Charitable Trust, because they really are doing some great things, and there's plenty of opportunity to raise some decent money for your chosen cause by applying in the right fashion. So hat tip to the St Austell Brewery Charitable Trust, who are Whoop of the Week. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. You can find out more about the show and listen to past episodes by visiting www.atmytablesouthwest.co.uk or find us on socials at @mytablesouthwest. And we'd also love to hear from you with any ideas you might have or recommendations for the show. You can always email us via atmytablesouthwest@gmail.com. But thank you for listening this time, and until the next time we meet.